welcome everyone. Thank you so much for attending our first virtual seminar with a focus on local authorities. I'm Laura Cordes. I'm a professor of law at Arizona State University in the US. And before we get to the substance of the seminar, I've been asked to take a few moments to talk about our network, the Research Network on Public Authorities and Financial Distress. So I'm going to go ahead and briefly share my screen because we have a beautiful PowerPoint put together by one of our colleagues. Can everyone see my PowerPoint all right? Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to keep this overview brief because I know some of you have already seen some version of it, or maybe many of you have seen some version of it, and you're also free to ask questions about the network during the Q&A. But as you can see, the RPAFD is led by 6 scholars from around the world, including myself, and a few of us who are on this call as well. This network really grew out of an INSOL-funded project that some of you have participated in, which studied the treatment of distressed local public entities in 20 jurisdictions around the world. And from that project, we produced 2 law review articles and an INSOL technical paper based on the research that we did and that you all, many of you, have contributed to. We're also currently producing a monograph for Edward Elgar Publishing, studying ESG implications of distressed municipalities, and that is likely to come out later this year. And in terms of our goals with the network, we really are looking to be global in scope. We currently have 65 contributors from 43 countries, but that is a growing number. And the idea is that we will learn from each other, we'll understand and eventually be able to affect how decisions, laws, and policies are made with respect to local authorities and entities in financial distress. As you can see from this slide, we're working with a 7-person advisory board, again, international in scope from many different jurisdictions. And we're working with Dr. Paul Omar as an independent consultant. And as you all probably don't need convincing, but I'm going to convince you anyway, right? This is a really critical area of research. There are local public entities, municipalities, local authorities all over the world that have faced or are facing financial crisis. And the questions of what to do, what can be done for them are really at the forefront of many conversations. A couple of us were just involved in a conversation in India about this very topic. And so this is a really important, I think, area of research for us to be dipping into. And of course, at the same time, as we jump into this area, we're cognizant of many of the challenges facing our work. One of the challenges we're going to be focusing on today in particular is how to consistently define a local public entity, especially across jurisdictions with different types of governments, different setups. And so we know that there are challenges facing our work and things that we need to think about and to study. And that's why we have our working groups. So our approach to the work ahead is laid out on this slide. I think essentially the best way I can describe what we'd like to do is really to go both broad and deep, exploring and comparing approaches across jurisdictions, but also being cognizant about immersing ourselves in the law and practice as much as possible. At the same time, we recognize the importance of existing principles that are already in place. And we recognize that this is going to be very much an iterative process. We're going to need to refine and revise our work over time as new developments arise, as information is gathered, as we widen our network. And so just to give you a high-level timeline of our work, that's what we're doing here. As many of you know, we did indeed, at the end of 2023, establish the network and the concept-based working groups that many of you are already a part of. Our goals for 2024 are to establish issues-based working groups, apply for some grants, and then we'll be showcasing our work at the 5th International and Comparative Insolvency Law Symposium this April at Royal Holloway University in the UK. So that will be a good chance for us to, again, sort of share our work, share where we are in the process, and hopefully get some feedback as well. We have already reached out to many of the organizations on this slide, but we are absolutely open to additional ideas for organizations that might be interested in our work, that might want to work with us, that might work well with our group, as well as any contacts that you might have either with these organizations or other organizations that you know of. So those of you in the network have already sorted into one or more of the concept-based working groups on this slide. This gives you just an idea of some of the high-level concepts that we're focusing on. And we've distributed some questionnaires to those of you in those working groups. And then this slide identifies some of the preliminary issues we'd like to explore in the future. I suspect that these issues will be refined, again, going back to the iterative nature of this work. As we begin to receive the work product from the concept-based working groups, we'll all be able to focus on issues, more discrete issues.